You aren't simply anybody. You are the one who defied expectations, saw through the games, and decided to soar above them all. You're the blueprint for breaking free, the spark that sparks transformation, and the force they didn't expect. When others attempted to extinguish your light, you shone brighter. When they questioned your worthiness, you transformed yourself into something unstoppable. Here's your tale, a story of perseverance, fortitude, and unabashed independence. You aren't here to fit in. You're here to lead, inspire, and demonstrate what genuine power looks like. This is your moment. Own it. Shine brighter. Let's go. When you decided to walk away, everything they had meticulously built started to fall. They had created a false feeling of control by assuming that you would always adhere to their story. You were their steady and infinite source of energy. They never envisioned a world without you. But with a single courageous decision, you destroyed that illusion. You did not just leave their world. You demolished the structure of dependency that they had constructed. Their carefully managed equilibrium is an upheaval. Your leaving did not create a ripple. It was a tidal wave. Overturn every anticipation they had about your presence. Their error was their undoing. They misjudged your strength, seeing just the version of you they wished to dominate. Their techniques of emotional manipulation, guilt, and silent undermining were intended to keep you tied. They counted on your devotion, figuring it was unshakable, but they overlooked the quiet strength of your determination. When you saw the patterns and the weight of their power became evident, you decided to break free. That decision was not only a rejection of their games, it was a demonstration of your clarity and boldness, revealing the weakness of the framework they had built around you. The aftermath was chaotic. They alternated between astonishment, fury, and uncertainty, unable to accept the reality of your absence. For others, your leaving forced them to face the reality about their conduct and the reliance they had developed on others. It fueled hatred and envy. They couldn't understand how you'd escaped the tight web they had created. Some even tried to imitate your increased power, but their attempts were futile. They lacked the honesty and desire that drove your metamorphosis. Your choice not only set you free, but also revealed the erroneous underpinnings on which they had long depended. Do not hold back. Accept your potential. Subscribe now, and let's ignite the future together. Their expectations broke as soon as you moved away. They weren't shaken by your leaving alone. It was the unbreakable power you showed when they expected your return, beaten by the difficulties of standing on your own. But instead, you thrived. You have recovered your time, essence, and power. Your change exposed a reality they had refused to accept, allowing you to live a life free of their limits. You were never theirs to control or define. You were always destined to ascend beyond their level in the vacuum. Your absence ended. Resentment started to develop. They repeated each conversation, attempting to decipher the resilience they could never have. Your increased clarity, confidence, and tranquility served as a mirror, pushing them to address the holes in their own foundation. For others, this revelation sparked jealousy, a striking reminder of their unrealized potential. For some, it became animosity, an effort to belittle your progress and avoid addressing their failings. But their judgments no longer holds weight. You've taken command of your narrative, altering it with tenacity and conviction. You are no longer their source of affirmation or excuse. Instead, you've become a reminder of what they lost and couldn't hold. While they stay trapped in cycles of manipulation and dependence, you have flown far beyond their reach. They misjudged your tenacity, never expecting you to break the bonds. Now they're left to watch your liberation resound like an indisputable reality, a dramatic proclamation of your emancipation and the limits that they would never cross again. Walking away was not the only way you could reclaim your independence. It was about uncovering and recovering aspects of yourself that had been buried under the weight of others' expectations. You freed yourself from their grip, severing the bonds of subtle manipulation and hidden demands that had slowly suffocated your spirit. Each stride forward was an act of defiance, a rejection to let others decide your worth or the course of your trip. They underestimated your power, misunderstanding your patience and gentleness for capitulation. At the time, you have chosen yourself. The whole dynamic altered unexpectedly. By removing your energies, you undermine their control. Without your donations, their well-crafted systems started to fail, leaving them without the gasoline that kept their agendas running. While others are still bound in their own cycles of stagnation, you have broken free, carving out a new route that calls into question all of their assumptions about power and reliance. Your independence compels them to face their own limits, revealing the hollowness of the systems on which they previously depended. Their jealousy festers. They strive to replicate your change, revealing themselves in subtle barbs and efforts to undermine the progress you've achieved in the hopes of capturing a sliver of your might. However, their attempts fall short. They fail to see that your independence was not only a question of deed. It was a purposeful, determined decision to redefine what they previously controlled. They can't reproduce the honesty that drives your progress, and their dissatisfaction rises as they realize how much they've lost and the power they never fully knew. They did not lament your departure for the appropriate reasons. It wasn't about the value you provided, but about their inability to grasp that, while they had the opportunity, your presence seemed to be constant, something they could mold and depend on at will. Now, without you, they face the stark emptiness that has been left behind. They notice the imbalance when your kindness, enthusiasm, and steadfast support have filled the room. How little they really gave in exchange. The collapse of their universe is not only the result of your absence, it reveals how much they rely on what you quietly hold together. Their control was never erratic. It was deliberately developed, with each interaction designed to strengthen their grip. They created a web to keep you trapped, pulling ropes of doubt and confusion to influence your views by pitting you against others or twisting reality. They built an environment in which questioning their motivations seemed unthinkable. They sowed the seeds of guilt deep within you, watering them with subtle barbs and conditional kindness until the bonds seemed indestructible. When everything else failed, they played on your worries, telling you that without their presence, your world would crumble. However, their skillfully crafted illusions couldn't endure the clarity you soon discovered piece by piece. Their techniques started to expose themselves as they were. You saw how your reluctance became their strength, how each concession you made increased their control. Their previous habits of seclusion, guilt, and dependence started to slip. And then you took the decision they never expected. The decision to assert your authority, prioritize yourself, and break away from their clutches. It was a choice that broke their sense of power and put you on the road to regaining your life. Choosing to prioritize yourself went beyond rebellion. It was the ultimate expression of your being. It required guts, since breaking out meant confronting their wrath, their deceptive pleadings, and constant efforts to get you back into their clutches. However, by moving away, you did not just escape. You destroyed the devices they used to keep you trapped. The strands they had meticulously braided were not only untangled, but also burnt. The guilt they weaponized, the narratives they used to control, and the restrictions they forced on you were all rendered ineffective. Their annoyance derived not from your acts, but from their inability to manage you anymore. The adjectives they hurled at you, such as uncaring and selfish, were intended to damage you and entice you back into their loop. However, such remarks had no truth. Their fury was motivated by what they had lost rather than what you had done. They used to have such easy control. The power you demonstrated broke their carefully crafted illusions. They were forced to face the fact that their attempt to disavow their influence over you is never genuine. It exists just because you permitted it. Once you restored your liberty, the veneer broke, exposing them to their own emptiness and the games they played while remaining trapped by their own constraints. You looked ahead unconstrained and unstoppable. Your newly discovered freedom is a force. Cutting through the darkness, they were once hidden behind every decision you make. Every limit you impose shows a strength they cannot duplicate and a brightness they cannot extinguish. Your independence shows the honesty others lack, pushing them to confront the bravery they gave up long ago. You don't simply shine. You also enlighten their shadows, shining a constant light on facts they can no longer ignore. Unlock the skills for reshaping your world and experiencing amazing change. And for those who want to learn the art of manifestation, a wealth of advice awaits. Dive into amazing strategies to boost your energy and transform your environment into a source of riches. Discover strategies that bridge the gap between intention and actual manifestation, using deliberate rituals to bring out what previously seemed out of grasp. Along with these lessons, you'll receive access to significant insights from people who have surmounted great obstacles. Their knowledge is offered via rare interviews and transformational material. This is not just a program, it is the beginning of a movement. It's the location where ideas take flight, potential is fulfilled, and your tale becomes a masterpiece. Do not wait for the world to change around you. Step forth and become the force that changes destiny. The next move is yours to take. Now is the moment to share God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube. With a $100 gift or more, you may help him carry out his plan and be a part of this divine mission. Every contribution symbolizes God's generosity, and I think it will return back to you enormously, far beyond your expectations. Remember that his protection and blessings are with you every step and every contribution. You become a part of his divine plan. You are a powerful, dazzling entity, as steadfast as his huge rock. Witness God's marvels. Feel the rewards of your kindness in your spirit, and light up the world with confidence and bravery. Be blessed, and let the light of the Lord lead you. Your decision to move away caused them to face themselves in ways they never expected, and in your absence, the flaws in their well-crafted facade were painfully visible. They started to see the emptiness in their life, the missed chances, and the worries that kept them complacent. Your power was an implicit reminder of their unrealized potential, and that reality was too difficult to ignore. Their animosity wasn't really aimed at you. It was a representation of their displeasure with the versions of themselves that they refused to accept. Despite their fury, they couldn't get away from the unmistakable mirror you provided. Your freedom and metamorphosis broke the illusions they held on to. They tried to belittle your growth, degrade your accomplishments, and tell themselves that it wasn't genuine. However, their remarks seemed hollow in comparison to the indisputable truth of your development. While others stayed static, you soared above, building a path based on honesty and tenacity in their efforts to replicate your external success. They failed because they lacked the guts and self-awareness that supported your path. Your independence became more than simply a statement. It was a challenge that revealed their delusions for what they actually were. True, resilience is not derived by ephemeral resistance, but rather from a profound sense of your value and an enduring will to defend it. They fail to understand this. They follow in your footsteps, hoping to reach the same freedom. But their foundation is crumbling beneath the weight of shortcuts and insincerity. Their dissatisfaction builds as their attempts fall short, and they stay trapped in cycles they had the guts to escape. Your goal is not to change their history, but to help them go ahead with clarity and strength. Your metamorphosis is a mirror that they cannot ignore or alter. Forces them to confront their facts. It is not your responsibility to determine whether such introspection inspires change or exacerbates their dissatisfaction. Your path demonstrates that greatness does not come easily. It is gained via deliberate decisions and effort. This is a call to rise beyond expectations, to let go of what holds you back, and to embrace the life that awaits you. When you walked away, it was more than simply a relief. It marked the start of a dramatic transition. You reclaimed the space that had been occupied by manipulation and reliance, enabling your true self to take root and flourish. The silence that followed was not empty. It was filled with your own voice, directing you to a life of meaning and joy. That voice, unvarnished and unwavering, is your real compass, guiding you to where you are intended to be. Breaking away was more than simply a choice. It was a proclamation of your worthiness. Your development was not based on seeking affirmation. It sprang from rejecting the restrictions imposed on you and moving into your own power. You destroyed the myths created to restrict you, refusing to bear the weight of others' expectations. The calm that followed was both strange and liberating, a moment of enlightenment that exposed your power, worth, and boundless potential, which they attempted to repress. But your independence did not just transform you. It caused waves in the lives of people who had earlier attempted to restrain you. They can no longer deny the fact that your independence reveals. For others, it compels a reckoning, calling into question their own limitations as sons and the prisons they erected for themselves. Others see your metamorphosis as a danger. Your advancement shines an unsettling light on the regions where they've decided to stay static, and your boldness calls into question their choice to cling to familiarity. They look at you and see not just what you've done, but also what they've avoided becoming. Your genuineness exposes their pretension and your bravery. They are afraid of being exposed. This soreness is not temporary. It delves deep and serves as a constant reminder of possibilities they decided to overlook. They recognize in you the paths they might have pursued but chose illusions of control and comfort over truth and advancement. Experience what it actually means to be selected. You are not alone on this path. If you have a profound sense that you have been selected, you have come to the correct spot. Take the next step to connect with us. By selecting the Join button, you will have access to special information and receive the necessary support for your spiritual journey. This isn't simply about being a member of a community. It's about gaining unique insights that may change your life and bring you closer to your divine purpose. Make your decision now and join us on this trip. Take your spot among the selected ones. Join today. Their efforts to mimic your experience are empty, founded on imitation rather than actual change. They replicate the surface of your success, emulating your confidence and independence. However, their attempts will fail without the foundation of sacrifice and self-awareness that propelled your ascension. Frustration festers, pushing them to disparage you, doubt your motivations, and manipulate your story to suit their own insecurities. They create tales that portray your advancement as a stroke of luck or an abnormality, all in an attempt to alleviate the agony your progress causes them. However, their words cannot capture the reality of your trip, which serves as confirmation of what is possible. When genuineness and resolve lead the way, their attempts to entice you back are motivated by desperation rather than strength. They try to regain control, expecting to erode the barricades you've erected. However, their jealousy acts as a warning, a reminder to remain anchored in your strength. Not everyone who follows your path welcomes your achievement. Some people observe with the goal to exploit. They hunt for flaws, looking for a chance to undermine your growth. But your foundation, which is based on sincerity and perseverance, is impenetrable to their plans. They cannot undo what has been built with your greatest power and determination, the drive and clarity that propelled you away from their control. These are the same powers that will protect you against any efforts to undermine you. Your liberty is unshakable and unstoppable, a power that does not need apology or explanation. Let their animosity serve as a reminder of how far you have come. You are not compelled to defend your progress to others who remain bound by their own restrictions. Their failure to grasp your transition reflects their own decisions, not yours. Their jealousy is rendered insignificant in the face of your unwavering ascension, a shadow that can only follow but never fade. Your brightness and ascension are incontrovertible evidence that their control was an illusion. Their importance has grown in recent years. Proceed without hesitation. Your talent is impenetrable. Your commitment is unshakable. Leaving was not without obstacles. It took fortitude to walk away from not just others, but also the pieces of oneself that had been intertwined with them. Your trust, loyalty, and emotional investment. The links you cut were firmly ingrained, built on common experiences that previously seemed significant. However, those same connections had become heavy shackles, and breaking free came with a cost. Nostalgia whispers temptations from the past, painting those experiences with brighter colors than they were. Doubts emerge as to whether you were too firm, dismissive, or distant. But the reality remains strong. Staying would have meant giving up the core of who you are, clinging on to bits as your soul wilted under the weight of their demands. Letting go is painful, but it also brings clarity and freedom. Choosing yourself never meant turning your back on others. It was about recovering your essence. It meant admitting that certain ties were choking your development, dimming your brightness, and tying you to a version of yourself that no longer suited your soul. Your choices did not result in losses. They were deals that allowed you to release whatever was holding you back and embrace the limitless possibility that lay ahead. Walking away came at a cost of uncertainty, anguish, and desire. However, the prize was unsurpassed: the ability to find your strength unfettered and unstoppable. You chose seclusion not out of need, but as a symbol of your independence. Solitude is not a getaway. It's a road to mastery. It removes distractions, enabling you to hear your intuition and discover your inner strength. In the stillness, you've learned to trust yourself, navigate without outward approval, and take strength from your inner voice. This independence is not a symptom of isolation, but rather a proclamation that your value cannot be determined by the expectations of others. You are at home and you're alone, and that completeness demands respect from those who look from afar. Your seclusion may seem lonely, yet the unquestionable power you radiate speaks of something much larger. Your resolve to stand alone is motivated by self-respect, a reluctance to compromise on the reality of who you are. Your independence disturbs individuals who rely on external validation because it shows the empty areas where their own self-assurance should exist. Nevertheless, they are unable to look away. They are drawn to the confidence and tranquility you exude. I'm intrigued by how you flourish without their influence. To you, loneliness is not a vacuum. Its sovereignty is a condition of unshakability and completeness. Allow them to speculate about the source of your power. You've already shown that your route is brave, and all you need is your own will to continue ahead. The hole left in your wake is much more powerful than your presence ever was, driving those you leave behind to address the gaps they formerly disregarded. They can now identify the spots you filled. Your unrelenting energy, persistent commitment, and endless efforts. For others, remorse casts an indelible shadow, repeating every event, every blunder, and pushing them to confront the unavoidable reality. They underestimated you. The weight of their neglect becomes a continual burden, a reminder of what was lost because they failed to recognize your value. However, not all reflections lead to enlightenment. Others harbor animosity as a means of coping with their own shortcomings. They create tales in which you are the adversary, seeking to protect themselves from the terrible realities of their lives. They continue to believe that your absence is to blame for their suffering, refusing to realize the poisonous cycles they established, and their inability to embrace the truth keeps them trapped in the same stagnation you broke free from. Meanwhile, your progress reverberates across everything they believe they understood. They watch you flourish and realize that they were never the foundation of your success. Some try to emulate your movements, expecting to grasp the liberty you represent, while others withdraw into hatred, unable to realize they were the builders of their own captivity. Regardless of their responses, your change casts a light that they cannot avoid. It confronts them with facts they would like to avoid, forcing them to view themselves without the filters they used. Their reactions have no influence on your journey. Your progress is self-evident. You aren't just someone who departed. You are the one who rose beyond every constraint they attempted to impose. Your departure was not quiet or stealthy. It was a proclamation, a strong act that demolished the control mechanisms they believed were unbreakable. They misjudged your power, disregarded your perseverance, and ignored the fire that had been rising inside you all along. You are no longer only a remembrance of what once was, rooted in your own power. You are a presence that demands attention. Your freedom extends beyond personal emancipation. It resonates as a forceful message for those who are still bound by expectations or controlled by manipulation. In deciding to respect yourself, you've shown that breaking free isn't a luxury, but a need. You embody what it is to be genuine, a beacon for individuals seeking to regain their life. Your light disturbs, stimulates, and compels attention, even from those who would like to ignore your progress. Move forth with unshakable determination. Allow skepticism, jealousy, and regret to fade into insignificance. As you design your way higher, the observations have little ability to disrupt the momentum you've built. Your path has weight and importance. Each step conveys a tale from which others might draw strength. Share the depths of your experiences, the challenges you've faced, and the victories you've celebrated. Your voice will reach others who need a reminder that the road to freedom is achievable. Allow your path to inspire others and guide them to their own awakening. Your talent is necessary. Continue to shine, blazing the path for others who are still discovering their bravery.